I'm your host here on these Digital Boost live sessions. We've got a stellar session set up for you this morning with Carol from Outbox, Lindsey Carroll, sorry, it's a double name, my apologies, from Lindsey Carroll from Outbox, talking about circular marketing, how to hook your customers. So she's an expert with WordPress and MailChimp, and so she's going to be talking about a whole plethora of things because her knowledge base is so large. So I'm looking forward to this session and kind of expanding my base and looking forward to you getting your questions answered by Lindsey. So these sessions are designed so that you can ask experts your questions. So make sure you do that. Pop your questions in the comment section, the Q&A section, or the chat function, depending on what platform you are streaming with us. So I do pop back and forth. Those of you that join us on other platforms will know that I am checking them. So I will make sure that your questions get answered. So do pop them in and make these sessions bespoke or catered to your business. A little bit of just an announcement. If you didn't know, there's a big comp going on right now, competition time, and it's all about just logging into Digital Boost. So if you're already a Digital Boost registrant, all you have to do is log on and sign up to the competition. So what is the competition? It is called, get my paper, Boost My Office. You get a Mac Pro, hello, you get a screen, a desk, and you get a package from zero. So, I mean, hell, it's crazy, this competition. All you have to do is log on to Digital Boost. You'll see the tag there about the comp, Boost My Office, sign up, and that gets you a point. Now, if you refer friends on different platforms, you get more points. That's the way that it works. So, why not? Who doesn't want a new computer, a screen, a desk, and a package from zero? It's crazy. So get yourself out there and, win yourself a new office. You deserve it. The competition ends on the 11th of October. So get onto it now. And so without further ado, I'm going to bring Lindsey on. Sorry, Lindsey, it's just such a good package. I just think that if people didn't know about it, I would just feel so terrible that they didn't know it was happening. Thanks so much for joining us this morning.
Hi, nice to see you all. I'll just, so do you want me to share my screen now? That might be easier. It's just great to be here. I hope everyone's having a great day. Sun is shining here, which is quite nice to see.
Yes, yes. I saw a double rainbow this morning. That was cool. I literally woke up to a rainbow, so it was pretty epic.
Very nice.
Great start to the day. So what I'm going to do now is stop my video. I'll make sure that your share screen is working. I've got marbles in my mouth tonight. Today, I don't know what's going on. Too many cups of coffee, maybe.
Right. Right. Hopefully you're seeing the right thing.
Yep.
That's good.
Great. Mm-hmm.
Great. Okay. So that was, let's go back to the beginning. Okay. So I'm Lindsey Carroll from Outbox. Welcome to this Digital Boost Circular Marketing, how to hook your customers. It's great to have you all here. Just a little bit about me, just so you know roughly where I'm coming from. My company is Outbox, which was started in 2006. In fact, it celebrated 15 years on Sunday. So that was quite nice to be celebrating that. As Amelia said, I'm your trusted partner for WordPress and MailChimp. I'm also a chartered marketer, the Institute of Chartered Marketers in the UK, and obviously a WordPress developer, but also a MailChimp Pro partner. I hold all the certifications with them. So I was one of the first to achieve that in the world. And they describe their pro partners are the most celebrated and experienced MailChimp ambassadors. So that's what I do for most of my time. I also won an award at the weekend for NZ VA's Legacy Award, because I've been working virtually now for 15 years. Digital's come a long way in that time. So I've certainly got a lot of experience from all sorts of backgrounds. I worked in a large corporate where I was a PC trainer, did buying, development of products and stock. So I've seen the whole changes. I originally started with DOS and Windows didn't exist. So big changes all the way through. But that's what I love. This is always something new to learn, and there's always something new to try. And that's what I'm hopefully going to install in ideas today. So be interesting to know in the chat, what sort of industries are here, who's in the chat. And please ask as you go along. I can't actually see the chat at the moment, but when I close this down a little bit later, I'll be able to look at your questions and hopefully answer things from there. I know we're preparing to at the end.
Lindsay, I'll be jumping back and forth and assisting in the facilitation of that.
Lovely. Okay, so why do I call it circular marketing? Well, the whole idea between this is at the end of the day, if you're doing things on digital, you've got to send people somewhere. And to my mind, I always think of a website as like the main hub in the middle of a wheel. It's open 24/7. It's there for everyone to see. And basically, you've got a whole range of marketing aspects that you can use. But every one of them, apart from maybe a couple, you would be sending people to your website because they can check everything there. You can update that on the fly. And things like COVID, if we suddenly go into lockdown within 4 hours, you can change your website because all your marketing is pointed towards it. You haven't got to worry about updating hundreds of things. That website is that's the real hub of your marketing. So what I wanted to touch on today was to show you ideas of using a number of items of marketing. And now there's lots of digital boost lessons on all these different things in depth, but really trying to get you to think about your business and what would really help. So you've probably heard the comment 8 touch points that people will then engage with you if they see enough of you. But you get to choose those 8 touch points or 10 or 20. You don't have to do what everybody else is doing. You need to choose what's right for your business. So we'll come back to this wheel a bit later. We're going to be working through all of those things. But just a few things we need to cover off first. So first of all, why do you need to market to your customers in the first place? Surely they all know what your wonderful product is. They know everything. But you've got to inform them. You've got to tell them what you're offering and how you can solve their problem. It could apply to a service or a product. And when I say customers, it's product or service based. You just apply it to your business. So you may think that your new bread slicer is the best thing since sliced bread, but it doesn't necessarily mean that the future customer thinks that. You've got to tell them why that's really useful to them. So perhaps they bake at home, perhaps it's for freshness, perhaps it's they can cut the width they like. You've really got to tell them what problem you're solving. Otherwise, they just don't engage. They don't know they need something. I think it was Ford, wasn't it, who said, if I'd asked the customer what they wanted, they would have said a faster horse rather than a car, because they don't know what they don't know. So you've got to inform and educate them. The other big thing is, that's the diagram in the middle, is get ahead of the competition. You're marketing to stand out from the crowd. And it's not all just about being first on Google. There's lots of other ways of standing out from the crowd. And the biggest thing as well is creating your brand awareness. Keep chipping away at it. Why are you so special? And encourage that repeat trade. And ultimately, you're obviously after that brand recognition, like the warehouse, where you immediately say it's red and everyone gets a bargain. You're trying to build that for your brand, because the more you can do that, the more people will come back to you and the more they will share their experiences and tell people about your brand. And ultimately, all of that hopefully increases your sales. So it can be really overwhelming. I mean, I get it. I talk to people about this all the time. There are so many things out there that you could be doing, but you don't have to do them all. And you don't have to understand every marketing theory ever written and get bogged down in strategy words and all the rest of it. You just need to know your business and why you do what you do and why others need your product and service. And you really need to think about that first before you start deciding what to market and how to market. Then the fun bit comes. Then it's picking what suits your business. And not because everybody else is doing it, but what suits your business. So how do we know what's best for you? So we're going to think now. So I think there's 3 main areas. First of all, you will have an ethos in your business. You'll have ethics, you'll have values. And even personally yourself, you need to align your marketing with those ethics and values. It will never feel right, particularly to the person looking at your advertising, if it doesn't ring true with you. You can think of all different sorts of adverts and sales. You've got the ones of wait, there's more, stop, we're going to give you this free. That appeals to some people, and that really works. Whereas other people want to know that they're ethically buying something correct, or it might be eco. So think what your values are and do something that aligns with that. The next big thing is your budget. Yeah, at some point you have a budget, even if you haven't actually laid it down yet, actually written it in your zero, you do have a budget. You might want to have a billboard in Times Square, but if you've only got 250 NZ dollars, you're not going to cut it. So you've got to be realistic about what you could spend and what you're expecting to get back from that. Sometimes there's a matter of working smarter. You can make a small amount of money go a very long way. And hopefully going to give you some ideas a bit later. And ultimately your objectives. How many of something do you want to sell? How many of that service can you provide? Not everybody can do a finite amount. Do you want to scale up? Do you want to employ staff, or do you not? Do you only want to sell locally, or do you want to sell globally? Do you want to be the next Amazon? There's a huge amount of difference. But if you know those three things, and you know your why of why you're doing things, you'll then come down to what's right for your business, and then we can move on. So once you know what you want to do, that's great. But now we need to know who your customer is and know your customer. So if you market to everyone, you market to none. I'm sure you've heard that expression. And that's because although everyone says to me, oh yeah, but I want to sell to everyone, not everyone wants your product. It's not right for everybody. So really know your customer. Now, if you've got some really good customers at the moment and they're ones that are profitable and they're great to work with, the best tip I can give you is to clone that customer. So get down a piece of paper, really think about it. Where do they hang out? What problem do they have? That's a biggie. How can you solve that problem for them? And what are you going to tell them? How are you going to tell them you can solve that problem? So go even further than that. So these pictures here, this is people sitting outside in Auckland. It might be a hot sunny day. What problem do they have? Perhaps they're thirsty. The solution, water. So if you were selling that water, you might have a stand right next to where they are. You might have a billboard there. You might be sending them text messages or on social media because they might be on their phones. So get this vision in your head of where your customer is, and go even further. What age are they? What gender are they? Where are they living? When do they last buy the product you want to sell? Why are they looking? When you've got all that information, we can then come back to the wheel again and then start looking at all the different areas that we could be marketing. So I've tried to split this a little bit into three. The main thing is they do cross over a lot. You are going to dot the dots and connect them. But the top half, the blue, is very much digital, and all the things that you've been learning on Digital Boost and you've been hearing about. The bottom is, I've described them as traditional. And then in the middle, you've got the things that really do cross over. But they all work with each other. And I think that's where people sometimes forget that. They think, oh, I need to be doing digital, or I just need to be doing print. They work best if you use them all together and you pick the things from there that work really well for you. But ultimately, they all need to lead back to your website. Why? Because it's open 24/7 and it's there. And especially in this digital world, even if you're a high street store, people often look you up online first, even if it's to find out if you are actually open in level 3 or level 2, or whatever. So don't miss the opportunity of doing that. So the first top part, we're going to do the digital top first. Now, obviously, I do e-newsletters pretty much every day and for an awful lot of people. So I've covered those off very quickly. I don't want to spend too long on that because I know there's lots of other stuff on there. But basically, you want to start connecting with your customers. It gets you right into their inbox. It gets you to stay in contact with them. There is a Digital Boost offer, which I'm sure you'll hear about at the end of this, where actually I'll set you up on MailChimp and do you a URL sign-up form, so at least it's set up correctly, and then you can choose to continue on that yourself and get in contact with your customers. That's really important to start getting those, because those contacts that's then building your database, and that's really quite important. You can also do things like automate journeys, welcome emails. So you're sending out birthday offers. Once you build that data, you're getting to know those customers more. So you can then be more targeted at what you're sending them. Okay. So by targeting, I mean things like abandoned carts. So if you've got an e-commerce on your site, you know what it's like. We pop something in a cart, we're about to buy, we get called away to make dinner, you forget about it. But how many of you have rebought when you get an email the next day saying, oh, you've left something behind? We all do it. Even better if they then get 20% discount. And lots of people do that because they know that they might get a discount. But it works, and they engage and they buy. And you know, the other targeting, it's their birthday, send them a voucher. There's lots of things you could be doing. So moving on to applications or apps. Now, I'm sure you've all engaged with these in lots of places. You may not be using them yourselves, but think how they affect you and how you feel when you fill them in or use them, and how they might work for your customer. Again, not all of these are suitable for every business, but see what you can apply. So surveys. So obviously the traditional sort of survey of, you know, how much you've got to spend, 1 to 10, what do you want? But you can also have feedback surveys. How do we do? How can we improve? Let us know. You could also be sending them out to collect testimonials or link them to Google reviews. So that there's lots of ways you can use surveys. Landing pages can be brilliant. So here, ultimately, you're getting a sign up for your list, but you could be running an event on there. You could be doing a giveaway. And again, you can learn more about your customer. If you do a range of services, for instance, and they're only ever wanting to know about one of them when you do events, then you tag them about that particular service, and then you can market to them more about that service. Okay, so chat boxes. Now, I mean, there's chat bots as well. So bots will take care of it and be a robot on your website and answer questions. I have to say, unless they're very good, they do drive me insane. I am known to put human in, so because it drive me wild. But if it can answer, if you've got frequently asked questions that people always ask, a chat bot could be really good for you. Otherwise, a live chat obviously can work really well as well. You do obviously need someone there who's going to man it or be there. But if you are an e-commerce type business and you're online a lot of the time, do look at it. It's worth engaging with. And of course, SMS. So I don't use text. It's not really particularly applicable to my business. But if I was a hairdresser or a beautician, I'd be definitely sending them out saying your appointment is this, book tomorrow, we've got an offer. And I'm sure you've received ones yourself. Think what other people send you, think what works, and then apply that to your business. So on to one of the slightly bigger expenditure ones, paid media. I'm sure you all recognise the advert there, one of our favourites. So obviously TV and radio are the big ones. And sometimes they're not actually as expensive as you think, particularly radio. And again, think out of the box sometimes on that. You know, see if there's a promotion. Could you sponsor something? Could you offer a freebie that they might give you a shout out for? It doesn't always have to be as expensive and as big as you think. Digital billboards. Now they can be very good because if you're on there all day long, brilliant. They're obviously going to be as costly as a main billboard, but you can actually pay per hits per minute if you like. So this was a promotion I got involved with. They were giving them away free during COVID. So I actually got mine on a billboard for free. But there's some very good offers out there for doing it. And you can say, you know, I wanted to display 6 times an hour or 20 times an hour or once a day, whatever you want to go for. You can set your budget for that. So to think about that, that can be very good. Now on to paid digital, which is obviously something that I think you've all heard lots about. I'm not going to spend ages on this because, as I was being told before, there's obviously lots of digital boost sessions going out, particularly on the AdWords and social Facebook ads, that sort of thing. But again, the things you need to think about. So you've got your AdWords and you pay per click. Obviously, you need to pay for those. You've got SEO, which is a whole topic in itself. And I think I probably want to dispel there. If I had $1 for every time somebody said, oh, I need SEO, I think a lot of people put SEO into one basket and put everything in it together. It is quite a complicated subject, but the main thing you need is a page title and a page description on your website and a keyword in there. Paid SEO can cost an absolute fortune. And to be honest, until you've got everything else in place, you may not need to go down that route. And there's a lot you can do to build organic reach yourself. And there's a lot of these things that you can do yourself. You can do Google AdWords yourself. I have to say, I think it's probably better to have a professional do them, but you can. You can do remarketing yourself, which I'll come on to in a minute. You can definitely collect reviews for free. So although it's under paid marketing here, collect those reviews. Anything on Google is going to propel you upwards, and it's going to help with that SEO as well. SEM, which is search engine marketing. So if you like, it's like paying for your SEO. So that's the ads you see at the top when you Google someone. And obviously places and maps, all those sorts of things that Google have out there, definitely worth looking at, because ultimately that is the main search engine. And if you engage in their products, they'll engage in your website. It's quite simple, really. Scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. Remarketing. Now, I've put this one in here purely because if you do ads, and if you're sending people to your website all the time, which is exactly what we're talking about with the whole range of marketing we're doing, if they come to your site, most people won't engage straight away. They won't necessarily buy from you that day. But if you're going to pay for any marketing at all, a remarketing ad will then follow them around the web and go put your website in front of them on other websites they go to. So if they go to the Herald, you'll pop up. They go to Trade Me, you'll pop up. And you then pay when they click through on those ads. So definitely worth looking at that one. And I would say, if you're going to do AdWords, don't do it without remarketing, because you're missing a trick. You can even do remarketing from within MailChimp. So definitely look and think about that for your website. Then obviously onto social media ads. Now I know there's an awful lot of courses on this, so I'm not going to spend ages on that, but you obviously want to market to those people that are contacting you on Facebook. You don't necessarily have their email addresses, or they could disappear tomorrow on Facebook. If Facebook could shut down, you don't own it. But if you advertise to them and you get them to like your page and go to your website and buy from you, they then become your client and your customer, and you then have that data to continue to market to them. So another important factor with your website is online linking, and I think this often gets a little bit forgotten. Now, this helps with your SEO as well, particularly organically. Now, I don't mean just go in and link to anything and everything, because we also don't want to keep sending people off your site for no purpose. And if you do have an external link, we always want to link to them in a new tab, or blank as it's called. You don't want to take them away from your website. You want your website to remain up and open it elsewhere. But what I'm looking at here is things that actually also build your credibility, and build your credibility with Google, which is more important. So the example I've got on the screen for you at the moment is my listing on MailChimp. So MailChimp obviously get an awful lot more hits than my site's ever going to get, and probably most people in New Zealand, I would have think. But because I'm aligned with them, Google in the background, when it runs its bots, is going, oh, they're actually aligned. They link to Outbox and she links to them. So it's a two-way link. And MailChimp are obviously up quite high in their rankings. So therefore they rank me higher. So you want to align yourself with those sort of rankings if you can. Ideally, if you can even have a separate page. So for instance, it would link to my profile on MailChimp. So I've actually got a page within MailChimp's site. So that again helps me in the bot for SEO, rather than just going, I will link to MailChimp.com. So think where you could link to. So organizations, professional organizations, things that you might have, if you're a builder, you might be a certified builder. Things like that build your reputation and do give you very good rankings. Obviously, social media is where you also want to link to, and I will come on to that. I've always been a fan that the biggest thing you will get from social media, and the reason why you should have more than one profile, is for web links. It's exactly that. If somebody Googles your company name, if you can come up on every social media channel as well as your website, you probably have the whole page of Google to yourself, and you'll knock somebody else off to the next one. So you can be on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, Clubhouse, Pinterest, TikTok, go for it. You don't necessarily have to update them all the time. You can even go to one and say, I don't update here. Please find me on Facebook. or please find me on LinkedIn, whatever your preferred one is. If you do them all, great, but there aren't many that will. And again, that links back to your website. So think how many links you've immediately got there that you've put in place. And that's, I think, the most important reason for social. Obviously, some people's businesses really line very, very well with social, and they can run the whole business on there rather than the website, but they don't own that. So just don't fall into that trap. Okay, so select the one that suits you best. And use groups. So think further than just your normal Facebook page, for instance. I mean, I run a group locally, Green Health Community Group. I don't actually promote business on it. I could, but think of things that you could be doing. I know one, Monique, Own Your Style. She runs a fabulous one, and she actually charges people to be in her group. So she's monetizing it for her business. So think what you could do there and engage with your customers in that space. Okay, so coming on to interactive media, you could build credibility here in lots of ways. So if you're out there at the moment, prime example, I'm sitting here today doing online training with you, but you could be doing a podcast, you could be putting videos up, you could be on a webinar, you could be interviewed by somebody. Think where you could be online, where you could be adding value, and you could be informing your customers about what you do, how you do it, and how you can help them. And those links will keep going, and then you share them elsewhere and you put them on your website. So think what you could be doing there. So back to our wheel, we've pretty much covered the top part now, which is all digital. So I just want to come on to some of the other options, which you may not be thinking about at the moment, but I want you to think about them to engage with your digital. So first of all, community. I think this is really strong, and I think this is often really missed for people. So by giving back. So again, this doesn't really cost you, it costs you time, but you can give back. You can be, as I said, Facebook groups. You could be sponsoring a local football team. Again, it may not necessarily be with shirts like this example. It could be that you cook them sausages every weekend for the netball team, and you have your branding on the stand. It could be that you have a membership area in your website, and you give them lots of help and videos in there that they get for free if they buy from you. You can give back in lots of different ways. You could be running events. There's one particular example I like. A local real estate agent here bought eco shopping bags, and they leave them free in the dairy. So when people pick up their potato or tomatoes, they can put it in an eco bag and take it home. And of course, they reuse it. And what's it got on it? Their branding and their website, of course. So for my business, we give back Trees for Survival. So every time somebody buys a template or a website, I plant a tree for them. The whole idea being is that their website grows and their list grows, so does the tree. Other ways to build credibility. So this is, these are things offline, but you can still share these things on your website and on your social. So publications, featured articles, start a members forum so your members could talk about things. Get on those online directories. So if you're a part of Chamber of Commerce, get on their directory. Online profiles, LinkedIn, networking groups. If you're in BNI, you'll have your profile online. There's lots of other things. There's Yammer and there's Slack, which is a bit like Facebook, but they tend to be just for companies. So Slack, for instance, I'm in for MailChimp. I chat with all the other partners, so pro partners and partners, and we share ideas and run things against each other, around ideas off each other. Awards, win an award, share it, talk about it. All of those things will build your credibility, and if people see those online as well, because you're going to share them, it will take them back to your website. So on to promotional products. Now this is a bit strange because you can think, oh, it's products, we're selling something. So yes, it can bring you in a passive income. And for some people, that's their main business. That's what they do. But if that's not your main business, think how you could get maybe a bit of passive income, or give those things away free. I give away a free mailing list, how to build a mailing list the right way. And by doing that, you're also raising your brand awareness. So you're giving something back and you're educating people. Offers, of course, are another big one. We're all used to seeing vouchers, buy one, get one, buy one, gift one, free delivery. they're easy enough to do and start off. Back again, we're now down to the bottom traditional areas. So a few things there. Quite an obvious one, but again, often forgotten: promotional swag. Find the thing that suits your business. Ideally, I'd love to give everybody away gig sticks and computers, but it gets a bit expensive. So pens work really well. Pads work brilliantly for, I think, every business, because people have them on their desk. They tear one off, but you know what? They've got another 100 underneath, and they often give them away to people as well. So think what works for your business, and again, your budget. And don't forget to put the website on it. Print media. Obviously, the obvious is business cards. I mean, I don't use mine so much anymore, but they still do come in helpful. Flyers, vouchers, badges, leaflets, and the whole list there. Definitely worth looking at. Car sign writing, of course, is excellent. If you're driving around enough and people can see your business, but make it really clear what it is you do, and make sure you put it on the back and the front. And of course, billboards. If you've got a larger budget and it can be up there for weeks, it's amazing how often people could drive past and see something. If they keep seeing it, they will engage with you. Another big power of mine, I think, is in person. Definitely networking and expos, and working with alliances. Work with another company that works alongside you. I work very well with printers, copywriters. Think who's in the same sphere as you, but does something slightly different. Telesales, of course, or give an 0800 number and people could ring you, and you've then not got that contact. So that's probably the only one that doesn't go through the website, but you would still list it on your website. Run events, do presentations. And then we come to the real fun ones, so the stunts and new ideas. So, I mean, who doesn't forget Richard Branson climbing on the top of a balloon and all the rest of it? If you've got that sort of budget, go for it. If you can hire a plane and drag an advert along the back, why wouldn't you? But think outside the box. Some of these things, some of these big ideas don't need to cost money. Sometimes some of the best ideas come from somebody who really knows their business and comes up with something really clever and good. If you come up with that one, that's probably pure gold. So we've covered off all of those things, apart from, of course, the website. So everything we've done is going to be sending people back to that site. And so when you do get them there, we need them to engage. We need to hook them in. And we need to give them ways to do that. So you want to give them testimonials to carry on with that credibility and reviews. You want to have a contact form. You sign up. You want to have a contact form. So quick few things here. Subscription websites. Obviously, there's a lot of ones out there that are quite cheap. They all are a subscription. They do have their I suppose, what shall I say? I think they can only get you so far, but it does, again, depend on your business. So it depends where you want to go with your business and what you want to do on your website. So you'll have heard them all: Squarespace, MailChimp even has one, Weebly, Wix, not my favorite, I'm afraid, Webflow, Rocket Spark, which of course is New Zealand based. I obviously build on WordPress, and that's because it's not subscription based. You actually get to own your site, and the functionality can be extended greatly. You could have membership areas, directories, e-commerce, SEO is really good for blogs. There's a whole lot of things you can do. Well, whatever website you use, you need to make sure you've got a form where you can get their email and they sign up so you continue to market. There are other forms you can have. That was an embedded one. You also have pop-up forms, a form link just in text. You can have a mobile app form. Think what's best for you. Blog. Now, these are really powerful. What I love about a blog is it's very good for your SEO. You're educating, you're helping. You then send that out in your newsletter. That sends them back to read the blog on your website. They then might buy. You then take that same blog and you put that on your social media. Again, you're sending people back to your website. Really very powerful. About to launch something with an affiliate, actually, well, not affiliate, another Gemini Rights. And we're going to be launching a marketing blitz package to do exactly that for people: blog and newsletter. Contact form, please don't forget it on your site. If you don't have your contacts and the contact form, how are they going to get in contact with you? Reviews and testimonials, we've covered quite a few times. There's Google reviews, obviously. There's also LinkedIn reviews. They're good to get, or professional organizations like you saw on my MailChimp one. Things like No Cowboys. Is there something that works for your business there? Feedback forms, Facebook reviews. Have a look what suits you. Keep sending them back to that website. Keep that wheel going, and those sales will follow. It can take time. You might have to work at it, but it really can work. So I've just put here a gift for you. I think we'll put the link. Well, actually, the link is actually on the Digital Boost website. So if you're logged into Digital Boost, scroll down to Partners Offers, click on that, and go to Outbox, and the link is there. Okay. So if you do take that offer up, it's basically to start you up a MailChimp account and to get it set up correctly so that you can then go off and use it. I would then be attached to your account as a pro partner. So I'm always there to get you 24/7 priority support, because if you have a free account, you only get support from MailChimp for a month. And after that, their replies can be a little bit slower. So definitely take a look. It's well worth it. So thank you very much for listening today. I hope that helps. I'm also doing a talk at Symposium soon, which I've got links on my website, and that's more about MailChimp. I think there's an awful lot on Digital Boost for you to be getting information from. And the PDF has got nearly all of those things we've covered today. So hopefully you can, I'll just come out of there. Hopefully you can have a real good look through those and just think what suits me. Perhaps just print off the page in the PDF and just with a pencil after this, go through and think, okay, those things I like the sound of, they may work, and then put a plan in action, because that's the crux, is actually doing it after you've decided what suits your business. So
that's right.
Reel
That's
them
such
in.
great advice,
Yeah.
Lindsay. You know, and I guess what I would encourage those of you that are tuning in on the other platforms, we do have folks like Lindsay that submit their slides, and we upload them onto the website as learning summaries underneath the recordings. We don't have them for every session, but we do have them for some sessions. And it is this kind of situation where you can then go back and go, I'm going to rewatch that. I'm going to look at the PowerPoint, I'm going to decide what works for me and really nut it out. This was really great because it hit every facet. So, we've touched on each thing, I think, individually, and this kind of just put it into a package. And now you can kind of go, okay, I've got an overview. Let me see what I can do with this. So we've got a question, Kiara. And it says, Kia ora, any special advice for artists? Great question.
Artists as in painting artists, are we talking about? Or artists as in music artists?
Good follow-up question. Just drop that in the chat, in the Q&A. Visual.
Let me just open this up a bit. So visual. Okay. So visual, I would go very much along the lines of like photography, really. So your website obviously have lots of visual stuff that people can see, because that's what will draw them in. If they like your art, they'll draw you in. And that's a classic case of you don't market to all. There'll be a certain niche areas of people that like your art and they want to buy from you. So if you run an exhibition, film it, video it, put it up on digital, get other things out there. Why not do a time lapse if you've got an iPhone of you painting something or creating whatever your visual is you're doing, speed it up and put it out there on social media, put it on your website so people can see how you work, what they do. People are very interested in being educated in more than just buying the product. And they like to feel when they're buying product that they know more about it. If you know the history, if you know the background, why did you paint that picture? What gave you the idea? Perhaps record that, perhaps write a blog about that, how I come up with an idea of what to paint or to draw or to sew or whatever it is you do. And then use that blog, as I've said. So it's a matter of turning your ideas and perhaps just going that step further than the actual thing you sell and giving information out to people about it. That's probably my tip on that one. But visuals are lovely because you've got the visuals. I mean, if you're a service industry, it's a lot harder.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. That's wonderful. I also think, just from some experiences that I've had in the past, collaborations are also a wonderful way to expand your brand if you're an artist, because you can find people who don't do the same type of art as you, or have something that's quite complementary, and then when you do a collaborative event with them or something like that, you get to promote to their whole audience as well, which expands your audience. So that I liked what you had said in that collaborative piece. I call it like cross-pollination, and I think it's a really great way for people to expand their brand, no matter what industry you're in. But as artists, it's a cool way to get yourself out there. You're
Definitely.
welcome. You're very welcome. Thanks for asking that question. And I can see lots of people sitting and kind of tuning in, but not so many questions. But I think that's just because we've got a lot to digest, and we want to maybe have an opportunity to go and revisit all of the different categories that you said, and think about how we can apply it. Now, I did mention to Lindsey before the session, I'm currently setting up another session on Facebook ads with David from Dimple Digital. So last Friday, Greer Steele was with us from Dimple Digital, and David's going to do another session just specifically on Facebook ads, just as a retouch, a different perspective from a different provider supplier. So I'll let you know when that's coming up, because I know that you had mentioned a bunch of like paid advertising kind of stuff there in your chat. So it says, I like the idea of MailChimp and an email marketing. How can you tell that you're using enough emails compared to too much or not enough? So I'll let you answer that.
I'm not, it's the question sort of could be read two ways. I'm not sure if you mean, are you sending enough emails or not enough, or whether you mean you've got enough people on the list or not enough. But either way, you do, again, what suits your business, and you would send quality information. So if you're educating and you're sending, there isn't really too much thing as too much, because if it's interesting and it's useful and the people you've got on your list are the right people, then they will open and they will read and they will engage. If you're looking at the size of a list, you've got to start somewhere. So you start with, even if you start with one, you've obviously got your clients. The only thing not to do is please don't buy a list. Please don't ever do that. You're better to have a smaller number who are engaged and who are fans of your business, basically, than those that are not. I think that's the biggest problem people fall into, is trying to be obsessed with numbers. I've got to get to X thousand. I've got to get to this, get to that. But that's not always the case. Often if you do that, you actually are, it's against your business, because if people are receiving something they don't want, they actually then don't like you. But really, if you send quality information and it's well presented and it works well, then you're okay. And just build up and do what suits you. I think that's what I was trying to get across in the whole presentation is, you've got to do those things at the beginning to sort out what you need for your company. And once you know that, everything else falls into place and is a lot easier. And just don't be overwhelmed by it all, and start somewhere. Just start. Even if it's just one thing on all of that list, do one of them. And then next month you might be able to do one more, and then one more after that. They say overnight sensations don't happen overnight, take 8 years or whatever. So, just think of that. You haven't got to do it all today.
Yeah, I love it. I love how you said that. I think that a point that we had heard recently or repeatedly is, do what works for you, but also like deliver what you promised. So like if you decide that if you tell people you're going to be emailing them twice a week or 3 times a week, then you've kind of committed to that. So be consistent and make sure that you're delivering what you're telling them that you're going to do. And so that we build that trust and that rapport. So another comment here or a question is, what about financial services industry? Traditionally, this industry is more about referrals from word of mouth, not from digital marketing.
I actually work with quite a lot of financial services industries. It is difficult for them because it's there are so many rules and regulations about what they can do. I think possibly, actually, I put it up in the picture. I've got a picture on there. David Paul in Mortgages. He's got a website, and he's been very consistent, as you were saying, of doing blogs. And every month, the bloggers get done. It gets sent out on his website. It gets sent out in a newsletter. I had another another company, Super City, they only used that as their marketing. Their only digital marketing was newsletters. Now they do other things. And that worked extremely well. But everything they put in those newsletters were very good quality, and they were informative articles up to the minute and showed their credibility. And that worked. If you're just going to get somebody out, I'm not talking copywriters here, if you're just going to buy content and it's the same as everybody else is throwing out in your industry, it will do nothing for you. All you're doing is just loud mouthing, throwing out stuff. So you can do stuff with digital, but I think possibly it's more on your site, so that you can definitely make sure you've got the privacy, you've got all the regulations and stuff that you need to have on there, and you've covered yourself. It is a little bit more difficult on social for financial people. Probably I would say their network and get other people to shout about you instead.
I would have a look at if I could recommend a business that's doing it really well, Kernel Wealth. Have a look at them. It's with a Kernel. We actually had them on as a fireside chat, and they've kind of exploded. I believe that they are based down in Christchurch from my memory. But anyway, look them up, have a look at their website, have a look at their socials, have a look at all of that stuff. They have a lot of digital tools that they used and did really well in the lockdowns, providing secure networks for them to be able to engage with their clientele. And they're kind of like an individual investment kind of wealth building service, I guess, so I would recommend checking out those guys, because often it's good to see what other people are doing and in your industry, and then mimic some of that. I mean, you don't need to reinvent the wheel.
No, quite very true. I've just replied to this one. Is it okay to buy a list from a complementary business? Like a business has a similar target, or I've just put no, never.
Oh, see, we had it totally different yesterday, Lindsay. So I just want to say to you folks, every provider that we have on here comes in with a different perspective. They come in with a different experience base. And, yesterday we were talking about that. We were talking about the 24 experience of 24 gurus and how they built their business in e-commerce. And it was recommended that, if you had a competitor that was near you, and then just talking to them, hey, about buying their list and possibly investing in that.
You're actually breaking the law if you do it, because people need to subscribe to your list. Yeah. You can't just put people on your list because you feel like it. The privacy law came in last year, so New Zealand is now covered by it. You cannot do it. What you can do is align with somebody. So if you are similar to somebody, so say you're at ladies hairdressers and there's a barber next door, there's nothing to stop the barber sending out to his database and saying, oh, I'd like to recommend the hairdresser that's next to me, and the hairdresser doing the same for the barber. You can do that. You can definitely refer people, but you can't just buy a list. Well, you can buy a list, but it's really not a good thing to do. I would just say, you shouldn't. Just to make sure that you're getting all the proper legal advice that you need, I would recommend contacting Manaki, and Manaki has about 250 experts there, and they'll be able to speak to you from a legal perspective. Obviously, Lindsay, you're not a legal expert. No, I agree.
And neither is Travis. So, make sure that you do connect with those folks when you're doing transactions like that. That's a great way for you to make sure that you cover your bases. Yeah. So a little question here. What about if the new employee comes with their own list, as my industry does, the beauty industry? Great question, Lara.
Right. Then I would get her to write out to her list and saying, I've now moved from Flossie's beautician and I'm going to go and work for Lara's beautician. If you'd like to join her list, here's a sign up. And if they're customers, if they then continue to be her clients at Lara's, then obviously, they're then a client. But I wouldn't just automatically send out to them. I would send out from Flossie first and push them towards Lara's and give them the choice whether they want to follow Flossie. They might not like her anymore, don't want to be on a list. So, that's just ask. I
think that's a really great.
I always just say, think what you'd like somebody to do. So the chap that said, if I just bought another list, if you suddenly got an email through from a firm you knew nothing about, How does that make you feel?
Mm.
My saying always is spam is in the eye of the receiver, not the sender, and not illegal, not legal. It's in the eye of the receiver. And if they don't want to have it and they see you as spam, ultimately that doesn't help your business very much.
That's great advice.
Leave it there. Yeah.
That's wonderful. Yeah, and it is in that, especially in like the service industry, people rent chairs and they, do things like that. Like in hairdressing, you often will rent a chair from an organization. And I would totally be comfortable if somebody, just on a personal basis, they were like, oh, I'm working at this new place now, so then I know, oh, that's why that email is coming from those folks now, because, whatever. I think, that's a great questions coming through. Thanks so much. And I'll drop in Manaki's website into the chat as well, into all the chats, just so that you can access that. Not all advice, like they will answer questions for free, but then if you need further assistance, there's generally a charge, but they will inform you of that ahead of time. And it's a great resource, really, that I've found. We actually had Manaki come on, Andy Hamilton, and I believe it was Rachel came on, and it was a fantastic session a long time ago. I'll have to look up that session for you folks at some point. Sorry, I'm just
It'd be good if they could do another one, because if now people have listened to lots of different presentations, it might be quite good. They might find they get different questions this time around.
Yes, it was a very good session. So there's Manaki's website there in the chat for y'all. Okay, I'm a startup business. I have many email addresses from people I know from different places. Can I send everyone an initial email newsletter and give them the option to opt out if they don't want to continue receiving emails from me?
Technically, no. It's a difficult one, this one, but no, not really. What you can do is write to them. So it depends how many you've got, but to be honest with you, you'll get a much better response by writing them a normal email with a link to your sign up form. Here's my link, would you like to sign up? And then chances are that you do get quite a good response from that, because we've got, oh, she's actually written to me, they're actually asking. That's quite nice. Okay, I'll do that. Whereas if you just send it out, technically they haven't signed up, so you just sent them a newsletter through you can send people newsletters, not newsletters, emails from your normal email, like not in bulk, but just your normal ones. And you can send people things in the post, that's fine. But sending it out digitally in bulk, you do need permission. So in that case,
different. So I just want to clarify, Lindsay, just on this question, just in case people missed the very first part, just so that people don't get confused. It says, I have many email addresses from people I know from different places. So these people haven't volunteered these email addresses as like, would you like to subscribe to the newsletter? They haven't given an email address knowing that they would be contacted. So just so that we're clear, people aren't. So
that's what I mean. You can't put them on your list and send them out through something like MailOut or MailChimp. But she could write to each one individually from her normal email client, Outlook or whatever, and do it from there and ask them to sign up. That would be definitely the best way.
Fantastic.
Yeah, Lara's saying you have to be really careful. A real estate agent got done for sending emails to previous client base before. You just can't do it. Simple as that. But people try.
Yeah. Okay, well, I've just dropped that email into all the chats across not email. I've just dropped that that website in for everybody on all the platforms. Cool. Thanks, Allison. Fantastic. What about emails people leave manually on a form when they attend a workshop with me?
Right. My advice would be, on your form, now put a box saying, would you like to sign up for media? And if they tick the box, we could talk, there's lots more detail to do with this, depending on if they're an EU citizen, for instance. There's different laws that abide by them. But my advice would be, put a little box and ask them if they'd like to sign up. But I do generally say to people, if somebody's been your client or your customer, personally, I think you can add those to a list, but as long as you make sure they've got that unsubscribe link, because usually if you do something like a workshop, you're going to send a follow-up saying, you know, here's the things that we discussed this was the guide I said I would send you. So people are pretty much expecting that. But as long as they've got that unsubscribe at the bottom, they can go, okay, that was great. I've got that now. I now unsubscribe. Thank you very much. And make it very clear that they can unsubscribe. So, yeah. But yeah, that's because if somebody's bought from you, it's transactional. You know, those sort of ones, if they're buying off e-commerce, obviously you can write to them because they bought from you. You've got to tell them when the stock's being sent out or whatever. So
yeah, and we want to have that, you know, like that follow-up conversation after a workshop particularly is just a really nice thank you for attending, is, you know, courteous in itself, you know. I'm just waiting. I'm just kind of seeing if there's any other questions trickling in. Every time I leave, it seems to go red. Thank you. So a MailChimp automated email is okay, but it has unsubscribe.
Yeah, you definitely, MailChimp will always have an unsubscribe button on there. Whatever you do, don't try and remove it. So for something like a workshop, you would write to them afterwards. But you know, you can unsubscribe. And sometimes, I mean, I would even put at the bottom, you know, we'd like to continue sending you updates. And would you like us to continue keeping you on the list so that you can hear our next workshop, or we've got one next. If you just done one on flower arranging, you might have one next week on pottery or something. You know, which most people will say, oh yeah, I'm interested in that. I'll keep. I think that's the key. Tell people what they're going to get. And again, if it's informative and you're educating them, it's so much better than just sell. But just don't send to people who haven't asked for it.
Yeah, we talked about that a bit yesterday. We've talked about it in the past with Glenn. There's been some really good sessions. If you're really keen to know more about email marketing, contact support at digitalboost.co.nz, and we'll give you links to all the sessions that we've run on email marketing. We've actually had quite a lot, and there's a bunch coming up. So have a look on the schedule coming up as well, because it is such a valuable tool, and we know that the monetary value of our email customers versus our social media customers can be a lot higher. We've put quite a focus on that in some areas, especially with the algorithms kind of changing and stuff like that. You're welcome. Have a great day. Nami, so I think that's probably going to be us for today. Thanks, Lindsay, for joining us today and taking time out of your schedule. Everyone have a wonderful day, and I'll just give everybody the heads up on what we have coming tomorrow, because everyone likes to know that before we go. So we've got tomorrow, we're going to be talking about the basics of chat marketing with Facebook Messenger and Instagram. Cool, that's a great follow-up session to this. And that's with Jam from Conversology, which is the coolest name ever. Like Conversology, it's such a great term. So that'll be a good session tomorrow. Tune in at 10. Book us in with your morning tea. Lindsay, thanks again for joining us, and
thanks for having me.
Have a wonderful day. Ka kite, everyone.
And you.